All right, now that the front cover's back on, I need to work on this oil pan. I don't know if you can tell in the video, it's got a pretty big dent right here. And as you can see, the lip on a couple places got bent while I was removing it. I don't know if this is a... Yeah, it seems like this pan got a little beat up from the previous owner. Nothing that is affecting the oil pickup. Yeah, I'm gonna straighten it out the best I can, and then I'll probably go over it one more time to get it cleaned. And then I'll reinstall the oil pickup, redo the gasket on that, and get a gasket back on this, and slap it back on the engine. So I went ahead and cleaned the oil pan. I banged out a couple of the bigger dents that were on the pan. It's not perfect, but it looks a lot better than what it used to look like. I also kind of sanded it down a little bit, put some high temp primer and high temp paint, just to get it looking a little nicer. Interior of the oil pan is nice and clean now. So I'm gonna go ahead and install the gasket, and I'll probably even add a little bit of the RTV or some kind of a sealant on the cork gasket. I know a lot of people don't run these cork gaskets and they just run the sealant just on the pan itself, but I'll probably just do a mixture of both. I've had pretty good luck doing this on the 20R with no leaks once I replaced that, so I'm just going to do the same on this oil pan, and we'll see how it goes. All right, we've got the oil pickup back on. Alright, so as you can see, I've cleaned the valve cover the best I can. It was pretty oily and just kind of disgusting overall. Hit it with some sandpaper afterwards, used some brake cleaner to get the last bits of grease off of it. At the moment I've got it on this heater to kind of just heat it up a little bit before I throw some primer on it. But otherwise, it's pretty much ready for paint. Right, and there's the first coat of primer. I'll let this dry and check it out before I decide whether or not I'm going to put a second coat. I ended up using this Duplicolor high heat primer. Worked out pretty good with the 20R valve cover. I'm basically doing the exact same thing that I did to the 20R valve cover. I think I'm even going to go with the red color, but so far so good. Looks pretty good. Like I said in that previous clip, I did kind of sand it a little bit with a slightly abrasive sandpaper to give the primer something to attach to. Otherwise, so far so good. I'll check on this in a few hours and see if it's ready for the first coat of paint. Alright, now for a little update. Cleaned the block, sanded it down, wire brushed it. You know, got a couple of coats of paint on the block itself. Both sides, just went with the regular black. I've had a few more parts come in. I'm going to start reassembling the front of the motor. I was going to reuse the old oil pump, but I just went ahead and bought a new one, so I'm gonna get that installed, get the water pump installed, get the pulley installed, and just start getting this engine back together. Okay, got the oil pump installed. One thing I didn't mention is if for some reason you pull these gears out of the pump when you install it, you'll want to make sure that those little triangles are on the outside of the gear. They just kind of sit in there so you can easily knock them out. And I'll just reassemble the old one to give you an idea. So you'll want to make sure that these marks are facing in this direction in case you just in case one of these falls out and you don't accidentally, put them in backwards. I don't think you really can, but just in case you're wondering what the purpose of the marks were. Next up is going to be the crank pulley. I'm going to go ahead and degrease this, clean it, probably just throw a fresh coat of paint on it and get it back on the engine. As you can see, I've removed that homemade plate and kind of started cleaning that up a little bit. And I've also started to clean up the intake manifold surface. So instead of reusing the old bolts, I just went ahead and bought a set of studs. This worked out really well on the 20R. I won't have to worry about stripping out a bolt or something in the future. So once I get these mounted, and I just kind of think it has an overall just cleaner look. So I'm going to get these installed on the head now. Alright, I've removed the old EGR crossover plate. I just decided to buy the EGR block-off plate from LCE. It's a really nice looking piece. It's kind of a shame that, once it's mounted on here, you'll never see it again. But anyway, yeah, that's kind of what it'll look like. Now it's just time to install it. Okay, the first thing you'll need to do before you install this is you just have to apply a layer of the ultra gray high temp silicone. And what's nice about this plate is, as you can see where I've put the silicone, there's actually a groove cut into the back of the plate where you apply the silicone, and it should make a pretty good seal. So now let's get it on the engine. So I just got done putting on the EGR crossover plate. That homemade plate that was on here would have worked just fine. But since I'm kind of spending the extra time to kind of clean up the engine, make it look a little nicer, I went ahead and also got the block-off plate for up here where the old fuel pump used to be. So I'm going to go ahead and get that on next. The old one. Much nicer. Alright, so as you can see, I have the new oil pump on. I still need to install the crank pulley and get the new water pump on there. As you can see, the block is painted. I've cleaned up the intake manifold surface. I've got the block off plate in the back installed. As you can see, this side, that new coat of paint. And I'm working on cleaning up the exhaust manifold side, and next up is going to be to get this whole mess cleaned up. This is the stock carb that came on the 22R. It worked fine when I had it on the truck, but I'm going to swap the Weber over to it, so I need to get this removed, remove all this emission stuff that's still connected to it, and start getting a lot of this grime and grease off the intake manifold, and kind of get it all cleaned up so I can swap the Weber onto it. Alright, got the old carb off. Kind of gives you a better idea of just how dirty this intake manifold is. A lot of this stuff will be removed. It's part of the emissions delete. I've ordered the plug kit for this manifold, so some of these things will be removed. I'd have to double check. Offhand, I don't know which ones. It'll definitely be cleaned up quite a bit once it's all done. Yeah, I guess I need to start cleaning this up and degrease it a little bit. Okay, as you can see, the intake manifold is on. What I need to do next is I need to start removing some of the hardware related to the emissions equipment. So this and this, some of the things up here. I purchased the plug kit, so a lot of these things are going to be removed. I've already got the block off plate back here installed. But once I get the plug kit in here, I'm going to try to clean it up a little bit more. I mean, it looks a lot better than what it looked like when I started, but I'm sure I can get it a little nicer.